Welcome to Soundbite, the podcast where we talk to interesting people in the Maritimes about their stories and current issues. I'm Caitlin Dutt, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm Tim Porter. Okay, well, we're back in the thick of it, Caitlin. It's we've passed Labor Day.
Yep.
Somehow we made it into September.
Happy September. Happy back to school season.
Yeah, we're on campus, so we're getting the full treatment here of the first weekend.
Yeah, it was a little bit hard to find a parking spot, but not so bad.
Right. Yeah. So we've got an exciting guest this week from the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, we do. Morgan Peters, welcome.
Welcome, the CEO.
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
Nonetheless, CEO. Do you go to CEO school? Like, is that how you...
Yeah, we call it Krista Ross School. We're in the chamber. Worked with her for 11 years.
Well, I was going to say, and since you introduced that subject right off the bat, like, so we've got... a former CEO was just appointed senator,
yes.
Krista Ross, and of course our current premier, was the head of the chamber. You're in your position at one time, so that's pretty good track record there, Morgan. Do you think you can live up to those shoes? Or
yeah, no pressure at all, right?
You can, yeah. I guess that you'll have to go for prime minister.
It does bring a certain cachet to the position, which I don't mind. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Maybe ambassador to a really nice
ambassador?
country.
Okay.
Diplomat, international. You could be the next Irish diplomat. You know.
Time will tell.
Good stepping stone. Yeah.
Apparently.
But you've been with the chamber for a while. You've worked in policy, I believe.
Yep, I've been at the chamber 13 years overall. First 11 in policy,
right.
working under and with Krista throughout that entire time.
Okay.
And great person to learn from, and a great position to kind of understand things.
And it's been over a year now that you've been CEO, right?
Almost 2, actually.
Right,
November 1st will be 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's it going so far?
I love it, actually. I mean, it was. I really liked the policy position too, and I really liked working for Krista. 11 years was probably a good amount of time. Kind of going into the CEO role made me realize how much I was ready for a change, and it's been really refreshing in that way. Just leaning into different parts of the organization, and lots to learn, of course. And I learned a lot from Krista. But until you're in it and doing the thing, it's a whole different ballgame. And I still get to be involved in the policy world. So I do still like that as well. That was a bit of a worry of mine, actually. Moving into the CEO role is kind of letting go of that policy role, because I did it for so long, and it was a real passion of mine. I was only the second person ever to hold that position at the chamber, so I really felt like I had a big part in developing that over time. But my replacement in that role, Nicholas Seal, has exceeded expectations from day one, so that it really helped me let go, and which is really more necessary than I realized. Stepping into CEO role, it's a lot. So having not only Nick but the rest of the team really being a group of rock stars has given me a nice runway to learn a new role and get comfortable.
Nice.
So I think we want to dip our toes into a few Fredericton issues, and maybe we'll just start with a softball.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll do the softball. You do the hardball.
Okay.
So I guess just how is business in Fredericton going? I mean, we do hear a bit about some closings and that sort of thing, and particularly in the downtown core. And are there any concerns there?
It can be really cyclical. It's there's also lots of businesses popping up too, replacing those that closed down. I know there's been a couple of this week or the past couple of weeks. Urban Almanac, I know, is well-loved business here for a long time. They're moving online.
Too. I don't know.
And the Abbey, they announced that yesterday. But I'm sure there'll be new things moving
Right.
into there in no time.
So, but the overall state of the business community is fairly thriving. I mean, you seem to have a lot of members.
Yeah, we're the second largest chamber in Atlantic Canada. We have about 1,050 members, which
Second
is
to Moncton?
second to Halifax.
Oh, really?
In
That's good.
Atlantic Canada.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Moncton's up there too. They're a strong chamber as well.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, we're a growing community too. So the business community is kind of keeping pace with that. We've had 20,000 people over the last decade or two. So that's that growth comes along with the need for more businesses. So that economic growth is organic in a lot of ways, but also we of course try to enhance those conditions and work with other partners to do that. So it's a strong business community here.
So are we diversifying any? Like it used to be, a few decades ago, it was the university and the government, and there wasn't too much. I mean, a little of the knowledge tech was starting to come along, but is it starting to diversify a little more?
Yeah, and as culturally diversify, but that also lends to different types of businesses as well, and starting to see more the bigger picture on what we refer to as the knowledge industry too. So the idea that we're a university and government town, and some quaint thing is not really the reality any longer. I mean, the post-secondary institutions here have done a good job of leveraging research and leveraging that knowledge and connecting business students with science students and researchers to really develop all kinds of startup businesses. People think tech first, but there's a lot going on here, and in the knowledge industry, and that base really drives a lot of that.
So when you speak about the knowledge industry, I know we've had a lot of talk, especially from like the federal government, about leveraging AI, leveraging data centers, things like that. Is that something that you think that Fredericton businesses are looking into growing?
For sure. I mean, the knowledge industry is the way we see it. It's really core to Fredericton's economic identity, and then things flow out from there. We sometimes get asked why are we so passionate about that, and that's a big part of the reason is we see Fredericton. Fredericton is the capital of Atlantic Canada in the knowledge industry, and we've got ambitions for more than that. It's really core to everything we do in Fredericton, and even beyond the direct business to business and the more obvious IT type things. It supports the restaurant industry and the retail and everything else, and there's potential for us to grow here with institutions as the base, with lots of 60% or 70% of research-based businesses and tech-based businesses in New Brunswick are in Fredericton. So that provides a lot of opportunity for the community to grow and lean into that education piece as a foundational piece.
So what are some of the issues that are of concern? We hear a little bit about crime. I guess there might be other issues like housing or even help for mental health or addictions or anything like that. What are kind of some of the priorities that you see to help make our community a little better?
Sure. It's actually an interesting evolution, I'd say, over my time at the Chamber. When I first started 13 years ago, I think we had a tendency more to look at things in silos. So we were really focused on what I call maybe traditional business issues, red tape, regulations, taxes, and workforce. And those are still important for sure. But over time, we've seen and come to appreciate more the interconnectedness between healthcare was probably first on our list in this regard, which really kind of broadened our thinking on that. Housing, for sure. Childcare is a thing that comes up a lot. Public safety, but that healthcare piece has been a priority for us for a long time.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that a little bit, dig into that. So the provincial government has kind of made a priority to look at collaborative care and establishing those units, and I think we've seen a little bit on the north side, and maybe there's some promises here and there on other parts of the city. But how are we doing with that?
Access to primary care is really paramount in the healthcare field. And at the Chamber, we've had a physician recruitment and retention committee since 2009. Actually, predates me by a few years, so it's not a new thing for us. And that started out as primarily an employee attraction and retention issue is how it came on our radar first. Members would come to us and say, we're trying to attract employees here from different parts of the world or Canada. And the first question they often ask is, can my family get a family doctor? And if the answer to that is not positive, then that makes it a lot tougher to attract and retain those. So, and a great example actually is last year we hosted a roundtable of physicians in our boardroom from a broad range. There were surgeons and oncologists and pediatricians and family doctors. And when we asked the question, what's the number one thing that would make your life as a physician easier? Almost all of them, regardless of specialty, pointed to primary care. Better and more effective primary care would be produce better outcomes, would make my practice easier. And that's where our focus has been and continues to be. So collaborative practices, family health teams are pretty clearly, I think, a big part of that answer. The family doctor model will still exist in some ways, but it's about really leveraging those resources and not necessarily needing a family doctor for everything. So clinics that might have a couple of family physicians, registered nurse, allied health, dietitians, those types of things, and easier and more efficient access for folks is certainly where we think policy wins can be, and where investments are really, really welcomed.
Do we have enough people coming out of medical school that want to be family doctors and work at that level, or do they want to get into specialties or?
It seems like it's probably never enough. It's a split, right? And a lot of it is that model. We know younger physicians, newer physicians are looking for more of a work-life balance is something that we hear than in the past. And it's natural for new family doctors starting out to have fewer patients. We always hear about retiring physicians having patient loads of 3,500 patients, and it takes 2 or 3 to replace that. Part of the reason we need collaborative clinics to kind of fill that void. But we have to remember too that they didn't start out that way. They've added those over time. They had smaller practices starting out and was growing over time. People have kids. You add a couple of kids and you get married, and the practices kind of organically grow over 30 or 40 years. So that's part of it too. But certainly, I mean, again, that ties it back to the knowledge industry. Also, is education is a big part of the answer to a lot of these issues. And if we can produce more physicians, and we'll still need more specialists too. It's not like we only need family physicians, but the healthcare is going to continue to be a critical piece for the business community and the community writ large.
So what are some other key advocacy priorities that the Chamber has been focused on?
Sure. We just reach out to our members on a regular basis. That's who we take our cues from our 1,000 members. And we have a big board of directors too, which is meant to represent different parts of the community, the business community. And one of the great and sometimes challenging things about chambers of commerce is that we do represent lots of different kinds of businesses, all sectors, all shapes and sizes, all stages of business, from startups to generational businesses. So we kind of put those into categories as best we can and set policy priorities. Our board sets policy priorities every year. So currently the policy priorities are a competitive business environment, of course, which can mean a lot of different things, workforce development, population growth and immigration, the knowledge industry, and then the 5th category is what we call business enablers, which is a lot of those things that I talked about before, which we used to silo. So healthcare and access to childcare and public safety and those things. So it's all those things come together that really make a business community or a community to operate in what it is. It's really a reciprocal relationship in that way.
How are we doing with some of these traditional issues like red tape and taxation of business and that sort of thing?
it's an issue in every jurisdiction, basically. Red tape, it can be particularly frustrating. It's kind of a whack-a-mole kind of game, you know. So regulations might make some sense in a certain time, and they just remain on the books indefinitely, and then they become irrelevant or a burden over time. But that's one of the focuses too of the response to the tariff situation with the Americans is interprovincial trade and harmonization and alignment gets a lot of the headlines there, but there's also a focus on internally and within New Brunswick and making sure that regulations are aligned and there's harmonization amongst communities or even amongst government departments.
Do you have quite a few members that are concerned about the tariff issue with the states right now?
Yeah, I mean, at large, some are directly affected. Some exporters are directly affected, but really the biggest thing is the situation is you can't even grasp it or put your hands on it. It's so rapidly evolving that we kind of refer to it as the era of uncertainty that we're living in, and in some ways we just have to embrace that, I think, and accept that that's kind of the new normal, at least for the next little while. So our message to our members is remain calm and carry on and lean into your strengths, and your business's issues are still your issues, the province's issues are still their issues, opportunities are still opportunities, and not be distracted whenever possible by daily actions and words that are coming from the United States that are kind of meant to be distractions. And the more we can focus on our own growth agenda and trying to break down those barriers, increasing our productivity, our competitiveness, the better off that we'll be, and kind of use this as an opportunity to strengthen our own house here. Again, we've reached out to members, both our own members and collectively on that. We've co-hosted a few roundtables, one with the other capital city chambers to discuss those interprovincial barriers and even customary things and regulatory things that might be priorities for governments. We've hosted them with the other urban chambers in New Brunswick, Moncton and St. John, which we work on quite a few issues with, and then same thing, like hearing directly from them and then trying to connect them with government, and who's also seized with trying to achieve that harmonization and alignment, which is going to help us grow and get through, whether it's a tariff threat or actual tariffs or any other that uncertainty. It's kind of remaining focused on ourselves is a big part of our advice to members.
Okay.
And so recently, I mean, just on Friday, like Canadian businesses can no longer ship small packages to U.S. duty-free. So have you been hearing anything? I know it's recent. It's just a couple days post Labor Day. But have you been hearing from businesses as to how that's going to impact them and their profitability?
I haven't heard that specific one yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will, but it's another example of that might be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of the reason where not only on a province by province or a regulatory level, businesses are looking to increase their competitiveness and look at ways to diversify markets and all those things. And those aren't easy short-term things. And of course, it would have been better to have done more work on that before now. But we are where we are, so this is there's no better time than now to address the fundamentals of business.
Access to a free-flowing airport is always important. How are we doing with that? And are businesses concerned about the airport situation with flights or anything like that? Or is it kind of picked up again? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's picked up again. Where the airport in Fredericton is nearly back to pre-COVID numbers, and capacity is coming along to reflect that too. We just recently added another flight to Ottawa, direct flight to Ottawa, which is a big deal.
Is that Porter or Air Canada?
I think it's Porter.
Right, yeah.
More regional connectivity was announced recently with PAL from Newfoundland and their agreement with Air Canada. So that's a big help. I mean, there's issues within the airline industry. Pilot shortage is a big one, of course. That's a big reason for the lack of accessibility coming back, but that's being addressed too.
Right.
And again, like, that's not something that you can snap your fingers and fix,
Right.
but there are more pilots being trained. So the capacity is coming back to match the demand, but air access is critical for our members for sure, especially to get to central Canada and the U.S. and within the region. So that's making sure we have a nice, healthy, strong airport is for sure a priority for us, and we work closely with the airport.
Do you pretty well have to
airlines.
overnight it in Ontario? Like if you're going to Ottawa or Toronto, or can you do a one-day kind of thing if you had a meeting? Or
you can. There are options now to one-day air, and we do hear that from our members a lot for sure. Sometimes you have to hub through Montreal, but depending on the situation, you can usually make it work. But it can always be better for sure, and that's what we're talking to the airlines as much as we can to let them know that this is a priority for our members, and we fill the planes that they bring. The planes that are here are they're bigger than they used to be too. Is one big change too. There are fewer total number of flights, but the number of seats
Canada in
is
particular, right?
bigger planes, right? And they're basically full. So the demand is there. So as they build up their own capacity, we expect to see more of that here and to continue to have seats available in Fredericton.
Yeah. I remember kind of a couple of years ago just riding in on like the smallest little plane you could imagine into the Fredericton airport, and those things just shake a lot. It's kind of scary, but it's good to know that there's bigger planes.
I remember that as well.
Yes. You're just kind of holding on by your seat, two people in a row.
They had a little plane going to Halifax. If you want.
They had the Dash 8 going to Halifax, which is one row at one time too. But
but even like
all
I think
air access is good air access.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna ask you a tough question now. But how are Fredericton businesses faring with decreases in federal immigration targets? Like, it's been about a year. The feds have made it pretty clear that they're pushing on that decrease in immigration until it can kind of level out. So you're going to be dealing with this for a while. How are your businesses doing with that?
Putting the brakes on any kind of fundamental business system like that is tough. Like the first with the international students, and then with immigration at large was quite a bump in the road. Again, that's really part of the air of uncertainty too, I think, and the stabilization plan, I agree, is here to stay for longer than we like. And for Atlantic Canada, and including New Brunswick, a big part of the issue is retention, which is where we're putting our focus now, which is the thing we've struggled with in the past in Atlantic Canada. In New Brunswick, in fact, until 2021, I think, maybe 2022, we were the only province where a newcomer could get the permanent residency and never set foot in New Brunswick. They got it pre-landing. So there were plenty of newcomers who never came to New Brunswick, and of course we're not going to retain them then. So that is the biggest reason why Atlantic Canada is unique, and we're advocating needs to be treated differently now. There's other parts of the country, and we see this with other chambers in different parts of the country who are totally cool. They're good with the reductions, and because they've had better retention rates, and so that's where we're putting our focus now. And actually, just last week, we announced, along with the Atlantic Chamber, a new submission on a dual strategy to the feds. That's both immigration policy, which we still do need, and we got a little bit of a bump a couple of months ago from the feds on our overall numbers, but also on domestic attraction and retention. So from other parts of Canada and retaining our own. A big part of that is, settling while folks are here. That's been a part of our advocacy for a long time. And international students in particular is creating more connections with the community while people are in school, and more likely to stay in the long term. But the job is the biggest thing, and that's one of the reasons why one of the few times that federal policy was tailored for Atlantic Canada, the Atlantic Immigration Program worked really well, because it was tailored for us. It was connected with the job, and that's the thing that will keep folks here on the long run. So So it's workforce was an issue before this, so it's really learning to adapt yet again to another hiccup in the road. But then there's other things we could do with the current population too that we're focused on. New Brunswick has the highest rate of folks with disabilities in Canada, high unemployment rates there. So working with employers on increasing accessibility and attracting more people to the workforce. There's the they refer to as the NEET population, NEET, so not in education, employed, or training. So connecting those folks with opportunities, getting them back into the workforce.
Right.
A really recent one actually is there's been a new provincial version of the Caregivers Association, and so that's folks who are working but are also caregivers at home, whether it's a child or increasingly elderly parents. Right. They have needs which need to be met and are very likely to leave the workforce if employers can't be flexible and meet those needs. So getting those messages out there and trying to fill those holes from every which way we can.
How's your relationship with the city? We've got an election, I guess, coming up next spring. How are things going between relations there?
We have regular communication with both staff and elected officials at the city, policing and about housing and about mental health. One of the more interesting pieces of it, which really helped form a lot of the recommendations, was learning about folks with mental health and addictions issues who are without housing, which is not everyone, of course, but it's a spectrum, as you can imagine. So there's a certain percentage of folks who are homeless that essentially need nursing home level care. Housing First is not going to work for them. Housing First will be effective for some folks, and then there's people need support along the way. But a lot of the infrastructure just doesn't exist right now. So that means that not any short-term solutions, quote unquote, to a lot of these issues. But I think the city and all of those levels of government and players should be commended for coming together and having open conversations and coming up with a plan. I think Fredericton is really ahead of the game versus other municipalities across the country in that way, and that has to continue, of course, and keep having those conversations and the situation evolves. But for sure, it's an issue for the business community and the city in general.
Thanks, Morgan. Well, that's all the time that we have for our radio listeners.
Yeah, well, thanks for getting into that. And I'll note that we are having Warren Maddox with the homeless shelters on later this month, so we'll kind of delve into those issues a little.
Yeah, he was on the task force as well. Really knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
So we'll get into a little bit more then. Well, okay, so thank you, Morgan, with the Chamber of Commerce is with us, and we will break for the radio, and we will continue for our other listeners.
Yes, our podcast listeners.
Okay. Thanks, Morgan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome back to Soundbite Podcast. We've got here with us Morgan Peters with the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. Hi, Morgan.
Hello.
So in the second segment of this podcast, I was thinking we could talk a little bit more about the upcoming events that you have at the Chamber. So you have the State of the Province in the end of January every year. And this one's specifically important because it'll be right before the municipal elections, which we haven't had in 5 years. So I bet that you have a lot of things that you're looking for municipalities to do in this upcoming year.
Yeah, second time in a row, actually. It's been a 5-year cycle for municipalities. Right. First for COVID, and then now because of local government reform. Yeah.
Get extended terms.
Yep. So we've got State of the City first in November coming up, where the mayor gives mayor gives an update on what's going on in
My
the city
bad.
at that point.
State of the province.
Listen,
My bad.
I'm a professional, don't worry. November 13th, I believe, is the date for that one. And of course, the municipal election is first Monday in May, so I'm sure in the new year that'll get kicked off in earnest. And there's often a lot of interest in municipal elections. That's the level of government that folks are closest to, and but maybe understand the least. Also, it's
Right.
I always remember one year we did our annual survey when I was the policy person, and I framed it as what are your top 3 municipal issues, your top 3 provincial issues, and your top 3 federal issues. And the main thing I learned was people are very confused on what level of government is responsible for what.
Right,
So
yeah.
we're trying to take on a more of a educational role in that regard since that time as
and
well.
it's more individuals that run in municipal as opposed to parties and platforms.
Right, yeah,
and
there
that
are
sort
no
of thing.
parties in municipal elections, and Fredericton's interesting place in that regard, with the south side and north side, an equal number of councillors on both sides, and no councillors at large, which is something that you see in other communities now. But
Right.
but yeah, always a lot of interest in municipal elections, and we typically host a mayoral debate leading up to those elections, and typically do written questions for each of the wards, because there's just too many of them to do really events otherwise. But again, trying to educate our members and everyone else in the community on issues that we care about leading up to that.
Any other events this fall, Avno?
Yeah, our Business Excellence Awards is probably our feel-good event of the year. It's
Nice.
October 23rd. Yes,
Every once in a while.
yeah, that's always a nice night. And this year we've added an award, actually called the Trailblazer Award, which is open to both businesses and employees and folks who are doing, I guess the idea is really interesting or innovative things. And the response to that was the most nominations we got for any of our awards this year.
That's great.
Good, yeah.
Actually,
Nice.
And next on the list is in a couple of weeks on September 15th and 16th, we're co-hosting with UNB the next installment of Shaping the Debate, which is focused on the knowledge industry, which we talked a bit about before, and positioning the knowledge industry as one of the keys to addressing productivity issue, which has been discussed quite a bit again in the last year since tariffs and other uncertainty has been a hot topic. It's one of these things, again, like red tape, that we've kind of talked about for decades, kind of endlessly, and not taken any real action to address. But we folks in the business community kind of have always talked about how Canadian productivity numbers are lower than the U.S. and others overall, and within New Brunswick it's lower than in Canada. So trying to position knowledge and education as one of the keys to unlocking that question.
So when you're talking about productivity, I know that word kind of gets thrown around a lot, but can we delve a little bit deeper into like what exactly that means?
So there's the base definition is GDP per hours worked. Is the basic productivity, but there's other ways to measure that too, which I'm more fond of, which incorporates things like quality of life or goods produced, and then not just that straight math, but that's
Right.
at its core, it's the value of stuff you're producing in an hour is kind of the baseline. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
the more, it's really, efficiency is kind of an easier way to think about it in more of a layman's terms, which I consider myself an economist, are very fond of the productivity discussion, but we need to be more
word.
efficient with our work, right? And,
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
like AI is going to be a big part of that, of course, and that's not a novel thing, but we're about to host our third of 6 AI training sessions in October as well, with Simplicity Designs, one of our members, and the first 2 have been sold out in just well received. So I was a bit hesitant first to commit to doing 6, but it's not going to be a problem. It's a big topic. Folks are learning a lot, so that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle.
I guess like the Chamber's stance on AI is likely that it's better for productivity. But do you ever envision having to deal with the potential fallout of like employees losing their jobs sort of aspect of AI, or
jobs are going to change, I would say, which they will one way or another. It's one of the reasons why it's usually folly to try to predict what the jobs of the future are going to be, and why one of the reasons I'm resistant to the idea of dictating what institutions should teach. To me, AI is a great example. The most important thing now is communication, in my opinion. That's in lots of reasons in my house and at work. But we have AI. But it's how to communicate that and how to leverage that to get more out of us, so we can do the more human things. I would say is the key to that.
I think it's Caitlin, because she's in her 20s. She's particularly worried about how AI is going to put her out of work. And right?
Well, I don't know. That's up to you two.
a little bit more than some of us older guys, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it's like the younger side of the workforce, inevitably, because it's all the lower level positions. I see it more so in my friends that are like on the computer science side of things, where AI is like, it's more able to do the job of a computer scientist because it's really good at code, know? So those are the people who are getting affected the first, I think. And then, you have like the artists too.
Somebody's got to input the strategy, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll evolve, in my opinion. It's not good for business or the economy or anyone to be mass unemployment either, right? Like, tasks will be replaced, but people will be asked to do different things and be trained to do different things, and I don't. It's not a big concern for me. It's how we leverage those to get more out of and could create more jobs in that way. If businesses can do more and use AI to automate where it makes sense, and then have humans do things that humans are better at, then that's a win-win, I think.
Yeah, and like the way that you put it as well, like you can kind of increase that GDP, GDP per hours, because the AI
that's going to create jobs,
then,
right? At the end of the day, and then bring it back to healthcare too. I was at a pitch competition at UNB earlier this year, and AI was a big part of several pitches on using that technology within health functions to more quickly and more accurately diagnose things that could help that as well. Yeah,
I've heard that's a aspect that the healthcare system is looking at, and I think that's really cool.
And that's another event that we have coming up in November too. Is our now second annual health summit. We held the first one last November at St. Thomas. It was actually Health Minister Dornan's first public appearance after he took over that portfolio, and really refreshingly, I asked him on stage, does Fredericton have the resources and infrastructure needed to provide quality healthcare to the community? And he just said no. I had to
well, he's honest.
Prompt him to give me more, but he was very clear. And now since then, they've made the announcement to bring back the hybrid OR to the hospital, which is a bigger thing than most folks realized, and I realized for sure.
Can you explain the hybrid OR?
Well, it's
for our listeners.
We'll say maybe.
That's okay.
So it's not as fancy as what it seems. It's actually what a lot of medical students are learning on now. So to ask them to come to a community that doesn't have an hybrid OR is a step back. But basically, it's a less invasive way to do surgeries, especially vascular surgeries. And one of the things I learned along this advocacy route was vascular surgeons is kind of the basis for a lot of other things. There's other surgeries and other things that you can't provide without having vascular. And Fredericton infamously lost both of our vascular surgeons in the past year, but now there's one assigned, and anyway, we have the capacity to have vascular surgeons again now, which is an absolute game changer.
Great.
for our community.
Yeah, I guess the hospital in Fredericton is kind of an acute situation, particularly I think with the population growth and just dealing with the volume of people.
Part of the reason that primary care continues to have to be a key priority, right? To keep folks out of the hospital who don't need to be here, and nursing home care as well. That's a big part of it as well.
Okay.
And then the second installment of our healthcare summit this year, it's more. We've identified the problem. Last year was kind of the idea, and bring folks together from business and academia and government, and now turning to treating the symptoms this year is kind of the overall theme of it. And one of our keynote speakers is Dr. Jennifer Russell. I know you guys had on a few weeks ago to talk about the Population Health Institute here, and so that preventative type thing, that primary care, and primary care is, there's so many reasons why it's important. I get asked this less now, but in the past, a question was often like, well, why does the business community care about healthcare in the first place? And that recruitment and workforce issue is number one, still number one, but it's healthy employees are more productive. Again, back to productivity, there's less absenteeism, and it's much cheaper to provide primary care than emergency care, which then drives tax rates if you have to provide more expensive care and build more infrastructure. So it's just everything is interconnected. That's kind of
preventative care, right? Like that's you're preventing the worst situation, which is gonna drive those people out of the workforce if they can't work anymore.
Right.
So
and it won't come in the first place because that's that's
chronic issues.
That's what they ask. And they want to, can I get a doctor or primary care? Can I get a house? And can I get childcare? Those are like big three things that really drive the workforce issue.
Okay, well, Dr. Russell brought a saxophone with her, and I don't see anything with you, so I guess we can't make a bridge into a saxophone.
Do you play any instruments?
Indeed, I do not.
Shoot.
So that's this fall, and so in January, end of January, we have the State of the Province where Susan Holt will be delivering her second big speech of the
so it'll be an interesting one. Whereas last year she committed to some metrics, which she put up on the screen at the event, and committed to reporting back on those this year, which I think will be interesting for folks to see and kind of get a glimpse, not even a glimpse, a bright red sign of what the government's priorities are, and I'll also be interested to see how much those have shifted given what's happened in the last year, if at all, with geopolitics such as they are.
They've had a rough go of it.
Are you going to put her on the spot with some questions? Because I remember when she had your job, she put the Premier of the Day, David Alward, on the spot and had a lot of pointed questions for him. So
we actually
are you going to do the same here, Morgan?
The event format is TBD. But
don't let her off the hook.
I actually do interview the sitting Premier every year on the television broadcast on Rogers.
Yes,
so we record that and play it post.
Not everybody sees
event.
that in the room, but it is broadcast, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so you have your State of the Province, and that's a big event. Like, is it 1,000 people?
It's pretty close to it. It's usually sold out at capacity. So it's a popular event for sure.
A lot of business people from all over the province come for that.
And I mean, it makes sense because the provincial government has a lot of the levers that business cares about. This is something that I tell my colleagues too. Like, most of our advocacy is provincially focused, and that's a big reason why they control a lot of the regulatory stuff, a lot of the tax stuff. They make a lot of the investments that we care about. So it's people want to hear that. Last year being Premier Holt's first year, there's often a lot of interest, of course, in a new Premier and hearing that message. But it's
it was completely sold out, right, for the last year. Yeah.
So, are there any other events that we're not thinking of that you do through the year, or is there anything?
I mean, we do some wouldn't say purely fun. They're all fun in their
Like
own
the
their
social
own way.
occasions,
Yeah,
right?
we
Where
do. We have a golf tournament
Right.
which we just had
Yeah.
sold out as well at
Yes.
Kingswood, and that's one that sells out for us every year. It's a lot of fun. We brought back our curling tournament this year, which we put on hiatus post COVID, which is also sold out and very popular.
I didn't know about that one.
And I mean, every this is what I tell folks too, is every event's a networking event. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, but we do have other dedicated networking events too.
Yeah.
It's actually tomorrow is our first business after hours of the fall, which we do monthly, generally the first Thursday, depending on what's going on. Like not during March break, for example, or whatever, but generally once a month. And something else we brought back last year too was the morning version of that we call Business Over Breakfast, which we're kind of doing quarterly at the moment, partially to relieve the pressure on members wanting to host the after hours event, which has really picked up steam over the last 2 or 3 years post COVID too. We found that our ticketed events came back pretty much immediately after COVID, but the networking events were slower, but now they're back bigger than ever actually, and so it was that's one of the reasons we brought back the breakfast events, and we'll continue to add as capacity dictates. We also have done a couple over the summer, which we hadn't typically done in the past as well, because that's feedback we've heard from members is, hey, we're still working in the summer, so why not do a few things? So we're dabbling in that. I mean, there's vacations and things like that, but it's always willing to try new things. That's one of the things I like about being in charge now is try new things, and that's good. But and another one I should mention too is not it's a part of our healthcare suite of events. We do 2 big events to add to our healthcare advocacy. In the summer in July, we host a reception to welcome the new medical residents to the deck. So July 1st, there's a new crop of residents that start in Fredericton every year. So we host an event to kind of get them out in the community. Same idea as I talked about before. Try to create those connections as early as possible. We members donate experiences and gift cards to get them out to different restaurants, to different experiences, and so they can take in what Fredericton has to offer to try to keep them in the long term. And a few years ago, we added a physician appreciation event, which we held end of September, beginning of October-ish this year. This year is going to be held at the Abney Family Tennis Center. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's like fun activities for families and kids, and a few adult things and barbecues and games and things like that to really show that physicians that we like having them here, and we appreciate them, and we see them, and that goes over really well.
Okay, so what's your pitch to members to get people to sign up? Members
join for different reasons. The networking and connecting with the business community is number one in our surveys generally. So those networking events or otherwise, supporting our advocacy is an increasingly important one, actually. COVID was really a turning point for that, for folks joining, telling us they're joining specifically to support our advocacy and to have that voice within there, because they got a lot of value out of the advocacy and communications updates we were providing. And then there's what we call member benefits, which is essentially things that'll save businesses money or provide other services. So we have a group insurance benefit plan, so a health plan essentially that members can access, which small businesses often have a hard time doing, or discounted gas cards and shipping rates and things like that. So, and we're continuing to evolve too. But at the end of the day, we're connectors. I would say, if we're connecting to each other, connecting to the community, connecting to the right person in government, or connecting them to things that'll financially benefit them, then that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about during COVID. You were a great supplier of testing supplies and things for businesses. I know we took advantage of that, but.
Yeah, man, I wish I could remember them. It was hundreds of thousands of testing kits that we distributed through the province.
It was a good spot to get that.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good service. So we've got Morgan Peters been with us for. I can't believe that we had a Newfoundlander on for an hour and he hasn't mentioned Newfoundland, but
any last words on Newfoundland, Morgan?
Stephenville
boy, apparently, according
Lord Thunder, and I can't believe I didn't bring it up myself. Just got back from there too. No, it's seriously like while I was there, I was on vacation visiting my parents, my wife's parents, and the wildfire situation was quite bad, especially near my in-laws' place while we were there, and everyone really appreciated the support from New Brunswick with a couple of water bombers and other boots on the ground, and from New Brunswick and other places. But New Brunswick was one of the first to step up with that assistance, and that was well
nice.
Appreciated.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. All right, so Morgan Peters from the Chamber of Commerce in Fredericton, CEO, and thank you very much, Morgan, for being
thanks,
our guest.
Morgan.
Thanks for having me. Time flies when you're having fun, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Soundbite, a production of Porter O'Brien and CHSR 97.9 FM. Special thanks to our podcast host, CHSR, our sound editor, March Rojas Velasquez, as well as Adam Porter, who provided our theme music. You can find all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts under Soundbite, and you can follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, and Twitter at SoundbiteNB, as well as LinkedIn under Soundbite Podcast.